time. 3 minutes for anything you'd like to speak about. Want to do a lot?
I can go.
It's up to you.
Okay. I didn't send you an official written library report because not a lot happened as far as board action. We had only one board action, and that was to dissolve the director search committee because we have a director now. I can let you know some good things that are happening at the library. This would be all for the month of March. Carbon monoxide exposure prevention. Family Literacy Center is doing winter child tutoring, book clubs at various branches. There's Kids Lego Club, a self-sufficiency program, a game and puzzle day, a career workshop by Michigan Works, and a lot more. Those are just a few things. That's pretty much it. The public comments were kind of the same. A lot of personal attacks, not really worth talking about. I did bring up a few concerning things during my board comments. There was an event at Hicks Theater where the president of our library, Friends of the Library, gave some misinformation regarding a policy. So I just wanted to bring that up. And I wanted to give you this. What I've done is I went back to, ever since you guys have appointed me, that's all the board actions. There's just one you could, I think we actually a couple.
We'll just, whoever wants to look at it can
So,
look at it.
I thought maybe after you look this over, you might prefer if I do this just maybe once a quarter, just so you know these are all the things that the board has done. So if you hear other things, you're like,
Whatever you would like to, I mean, I think this will be pretty quick to look at and so
and I'll still come and give like a moral update, but so.
That's a good idea.
And that's all I have. But Susan, I know you did take one of these at the library board meeting, and there is a correction to that one. So would you like one?
Thank you, Peggy. Yes.
Yep, you're welcome.
I appreciate that.
All right, anybody else?
I'm a retired teacher, some of you probably know. So I was surprised last month when Mr. John Van Wagner told you that our state constitution says religion, morality, and knowledge, that being the foundation for good government and the happiness of mankind, and education shall forever be encouraged. So I want to take you back to high school for a minute, and I want to strip that sentence down to its subject and its predicate. If we do that, we get religion, morality, and knowledge and education shall forever be encouraged. But what Article 8 actually says is, and this is a direct quote, religion, morality, and knowledge being necessary to good government and the happiness of mankind, schools and the means of education shall forever be encouraged. So we go back to high school again for a minute. We strip it back to the subject and the predicate, and we get schools and the means of education shall forever be encouraged. The two sentences have totally different meaning. The way Mr. Van Wagner expressed it says that religion and morality shall forever be encouraged in education, but that's not what the Constitution says. It says those things are important, but schools and the means of education shall forever be encouraged. I loved syntax. I studied it as part of my degree in college, and I just want to tell you that words do matter. Word order matters. Switching out little words matters. You switch some words or phrases around, and now instead of encouraging schools and the means of education forever, you are being led to believe that our Constitution tells you that religion and morality should be encouraged in education. Also, I did ask your clerk to give you an update on GLTA. I was very pleased when I was at the meeting in January to find that the corrections that needed to be made are happening. The meeting's now not behind a locked door. The public is welcome. We're not being required to sign in. Still need to get that website up to date. That's a problem. It says it's copyright 2026, but it has no current information on it. It doesn't even have the current board members on it. So that is something that I hope will come in the future, but I was really pleased to see that they were moving in the right direction to be compliant with the Open Meetings Act. And I forgot to say I'm Susan Huff, and I am from Lapeer Township, and I am speaking for myself. If I am speaking for Fight for the First Lapeer, I will make sure that I make it clear that I am, but any other time, I'm speaking for myself. Thank you very much.
Anybody else? All right, let's move on to the agenda. All right, we are back to public.
Thursday, isn't it?
We are back to public time.
Who wants to go first? I'll go first. Again, and I'm still Susan Huff, and I'm still from Metamora. For the past year or so, the Lapeer District Library Board majority members seem to have been following a national op plan to limit access and censor materials in the library. Now some of those same folks, including the trustee you appointed, are after the public school libraries, using reviews from an ideological and biased activism website. This website often flags books addressing LGBTQ plus issues, racism, sex education, with inflammatory labels like sexually explicit, and provides out-of-context reprints of isolated pages from the books. John Van Wagner spoke as a school board member here last month, saying that books in the school library which are pervasively vulgar or obscene should be gone. This is legal territory, and once again, this is where words matter. When Mr. Van Wagner brought up the legal standard of the Miller test, he might not have known that materials that would fail the obscenity test cannot be purchased by school libraries or public libraries. Maybe he didn't know that the PICO case he referred to, using pervasive vulgarity, is a legal standard, which is applied by reviewing the entire work, not just a few isolated pages out of a book. Peggy Brotzke often calls out community standards, but again, that's legal territory. And the law actually calls for the application of contemporary legal community standards, Then there's harmful to children and sexually explicit, and yes, they are legal standards too. Using these words out of context with the perceived authority of a school board member or a library board member is not ethical, it misleads the community, and it really needs to stop. Library and school board trustees should be focused on the institutions they serve, their constitutional duties, expanding access to information and education, and solving budget and policy issues at the upper level. They should not, as John Van Wagner suggested, use their faith and their sense of our common morality to make decisions or to help parents in the education and the protection and the discernment of what knowledge needs to be dispensed to the child. Doing that would be censorship. Thank you very much.
Anybody else?
Just very quickly, a few months ago, I brought up that there were several books missing from the library. As far as I can tell, that hasn't resolved itself. There still seem to be a number of books missing. Like there are audio copies or online, you can read it online, but there aren't like actual physical copies, which is kind of concerning. And one that I was completely puzzled by was called Avoiding Bullies, Skills to Outsmart, Stop Them. And that is actually on the Kraus list, which is an infamous list of books that have been compiled where these are the books you should target and eliminate from your library as much as possible. That I looked it up because I'm like, oh, wouldn't that be something that's really helpful to students? But then I noticed it deals with racism. And so and I'm like, that's the only reason I can, think of that it was tagged, because that seems to be a recurring theme, is that LGBTQ plus books and racially diverse books seem to keep being targeted. And also this is what they seem to be targeting at the school level as well, like with the public schools. And they do have the books back on the shelves for now. However, they are seriously considering actually banning these books. It's not about just pulling them and restricting them. It's about banning these books. And I don't mean to put you on the spot, but Ms. Brotzke spoke at the school board meeting last month and again just last week, and she's supporting the idea that these books not only be reviewed but potentially actually banned or censored. And I just wanted to give her an opportunity to like explain, because in the past she said that she doesn't support banning books, so there seems to be like a conflict with that. So that's, thank you.
Anybody else?
I have something to say. Kelly Nolan, Lapeer Township. Good evening, thank you. You want to?
Oh, I do know, I just forgot to say my name. I'm sorry, I just forget that, sorry.
I want to talk about something we keep hearing in discussions about library materials. The idea that censorship is necessary to protect parental rights. I think that definition gets parental rights wrong. Parental rights means that each of us gets to guide our own child. I decide what my child reads and what conversations we have at home. Other parents get to make those same decisions for their families. That's what parental rights actually are. Each family making choices for their own kids. Censorship is something different. Censorship happens when materials are restricted, moved, labeled, discourage access, or removed because some people disagree with what's in them. When that happens, the decision isn't just affecting one family anymore, it affects everyone. And that's where the definition of parental rights gets flipped around. Because once access is restricted, one group of parents has effectively made the decision for all others. In a public library, that's a problem. Libraries serve the whole community, families with different values, different beliefs, different comfort levels, and different needs. The library's role isn't to decide which ideas are acceptable, it's to provide access so people can make their own choices. If a parent doesn't want their child reading a particular book, they already have that ability. They can guide what their child checks out. They can have conversations about it. They can set boundaries that reflect their family's value. That's real parental authority. But censorship goes further than that. It takes that personal decision and turns it into a community-wide restriction. Libraries have a long tradition of protecting intellectual freedoms because access to ideas, even ideas we disagree with, is important in a democratic society. That principle is reflected in standards from the American Library Association, which emphasizes access and viewpoint diversity. So when censorship is framed as protecting parental rights, it really changes the meaning of the phrase. Protecting parental rights should mean protecting every parent's ability to guide their own child, not giving some parents the powers to limit choices for everyone else. That's why I hope the board continues to provide open access and the freedom to read for the entire community. Thank you. I have some brochures on the power of the parent for you.
Any other comments? Hearing none, we'll move on to the reports.